Okay. Hello everyone. What we are going to see about the introduction of obstetrics. So previously we have seen about the normal parts of it. Now what we are going to see about the abnormal parts. So in obs, what we see that antenatal, intranatal, and the postnatal. Antenatal again it is divided into two, mother and the embryo and fetus. Previously we have seen about the mother normal part. Now today what we are going to see about the abnormal part of the what are the problems to the mother that can take place, that what we are going to see it. So what we see in this, that is there may be problems to the mother during the pregnancy, that is hemorrhage during the pregnancy, or there may be antepartum hemorrhage, there may be vomiting, there may be pregnancy induced hypertension, or there may be uh, anemia that may be present during this. Uh, then what we can in hemorrhage during the pregnancy, again abortion and the hydatid hormone is there. So or disturbed ectopic pregnancy, and in antepartum hemorrhage, that is abruptio placenta and the placenta previa. So if you see, that is the bleeding in pregnancy, there may be bleeding in early pregnancy, then bleeding in pregnancy, that is postpartum hemorrhage, that is hemorrhage which takes place after the delivery, and the antepartum hemorrhage. And so if you see the problems to the mother during the pregnancy, so it is hemorrhage during early pregnancy. The maximum cause of the hemorrhage, it is about 95%. It is the abortion, and the remaining, that is the remaining. If we see, that is the hydatiform mole or disturbed ectopic pregnancy. So that is the reason for what is the cause of hemorrhage during the early pregnancy. So if we see the percentage-wise distribution of cause of hemorrhage in early pregnancy, so it is 95% cause. It is about the abortion, and remaining 5%. If you see the remaining 5% cause, it is about the hydatiform mole or ectopic pregnancy. So what is abortion? So what is abortion? It is the expulsion or extraction of an embryo or fetus which is weighing about 500 gram or less from its mother when it is not capable of independent survival, that is before the period of viability, that is 22 weeks of that is. So that is meaning of abortion. That is, if bleeding takes place before the 22 weeks, or if the weight, it is weight of the fetus, it is less than 500 gram, then we can think about. If you see in this diagram, there are different varieties of abortion. There may be spontaneous abortion or induced abortion. So in this spontaneous, again, there are different varieties: threatened abortion, incomplete abortion, complete abortion can be present. So that is the main cause of hemorrhage in the early pregnancy. And then what is, there may be some other 5% cause, maybe hydatiform bone. So what is the hydatiform bone? So it is a rare. What is, this is the normal what we see in this diagram. So this is the uterus. Then this one, it is related with that of the uterus, and this is the abnormal variety that what we see it. So in this, what we see that in normally the after fertilization, the implantation takes place over here, and the embryo development takes place, and the fetus growth over here. But sometimes there is a mass which is, that is chorion develops multiple. There are different causes for it, and it forms the inside of the womb. Growth of the mass takes place from the chorion at the beginning of the pregnancy. Then it is called as a hydatiform mole. It is a second synonym. It may be called as a molar pregnancy and the vesicular mole. So that may be present. Then there will be some cause that is called as a ectopic pregnancy. What is meaning of ectopic? The word ectopic stands for something other than the normal size. So as we know that pregnancy occurs over here in this area, and if this pregnancy occur over here, uh, that is normal. But if the pregnancy occur other than the normal site, then it can be anywhere. It may be in the fallopian tubes, it may be in the ovary, everywhere. It may be abdomen other than the normal site, and then it is called as a ectopic pregnancy. That is any pregnancy where the fertilized ovum gets implanted and develops in a site other than the normal uterine cavity. It represents a serious hazard to women's health and reproductive potential, requiring prompt recognition and early aggressive intervention. It is an emergency situation because the patient may suddenly comes with any collapse condition. So it is an emergency, and for this there is an prompt recognition is required. That is the cause of hemorrhage in early pregnancy. Then there may be hemorrhage after the 22 weeks, but before the birth of the baby. Then that hemorrhage it is called as a APH. Long form of APH it is antepartum hemorrhage. Partum that is related with that of delivery is defined as bleeding from or into the genital tract occurring from 22 weeks, and weight it is more than 500 grams of pregnancy and prior to the birth of the baby, then that hemorrhage is called as a antepartum hemorrhage. And what is the complication? So it is about it complicates 3 to 5% of the pregnancies. Then it leading cause of perinatal and maternal mortality worldwide. And up to one fifth of every preterm babies are born in association with that of APH. And most of the time it is unpredictable. We can't say that, but it is unpredictable. That may be the cause. And if we see what is the cause for the APH, so it is again divided into the maternal cause and the fetal. Again, maternal it is further divided into three. That is the placental cause, unexplained cause, and the extraplacental cause. Placental cause, placental bleeding, it is about some 70%. And again, it is divided into two, that is placenta previa and the abruptio placenta. It is about equal proportion, that is 35% and 35%. And unexplained, that is 25%, that is or indeterminate, that is bleeding present but source and site is not determined. And the extraplacental cause, that may be 5% cause, that is it may be some problem in the cervix if there is a cervical cancer, or the cervical polyp is there, or if there is a varicose vein, or if some local trauma can lead to the bleeding after 22 weeks. And for that, first what we know, the placental bleeding, what is meaning of placenta previa and the abruptio placenta. So if we see what is abruptio placenta and placenta previa, in abruptio placenta, placenta it is present at the normal site, but it is dislodged from it. That is before the delivery. That is, and it presents internal bleeding and the external bleeding. That is the abruptio placenta. And what is placenta previa? It is insertion of the placenta partly or completely in the lower uterine segment. This is the basic difference. In placenta previa, placenta it is present at the lower uterine segment, and in abruptia it is normally but dislodged from its normal site. And again, this placenta previa, it is divided into four types. That is lateral, marginal, os open, os closed, and os open. Depending upon that, it is divided into four varieties of placenta previa. So that can also lead to the hemorrhage before the delivery. So this is the diagram of it. If see, this is the blood which is present over here. This is abruptio placenta, and if placenta is present at the lower uterine segment, where that is called as a placenta previa. Then there may be some other problems during the pregnancy, that it may, as what we have earlier seen, that there may be hemorrhage during the pregnancy, or there may be some general problem, that is a hemorrhage, or there may be some vomiting during the pregnancy. So what is the vomiting? If it is normal up to the 3 weeks, first trimester, that is up to the 1 and to 12 weeks. Then if it is the normal, but if it is more than the normal extent beyond the normal 3 weeks, and it affects the health of the mother, then it is called as a hyperemesis gravidarum. So normal NVP, that is emesis, nausea and vomiting during the pregnancy, that is symptoms of nausea and or vomiting during the early pregnancy where there are no any other causes. While in case of hyperemesis gravidarum is so much of severe that it protracted from the from its protracted form of NVP with consist of the three characteristic symptoms or triad, that is if there is a weight loss more than that of 5%, and with dehydration, and if there is an electrolyte imbalance, that is it is affecting the deleterious effect on the health of the mother, then we can think about that is called as a hyper, that is something hyper emesis vomiting gravidarum, that is during the pregnancy, that is hyperemesis gravidarum. Then there may be some increase in the BP during the pregnancy. So this is classification of pregnancy-induced hypertension. So what we see that there is, according to the National High Blood Pressure Education Program 2000, that is ACOG, that is chronic hypertension, preeclampsia is there, chronic hypertension with superimposed preeclampsia and eclampsia, then gestational hypertension, then transient hypertension is also there. So, and what is, if we see in this diagram, so here that is what we show that BP is increased, here the weight gain is there, then there is a facial edema, swollen face and hands, then there is a pitting edema on the legs, and in the urine, that is protein urine, protein in the urine. So if it is present, this is entirely called as a pre-eclampsia, increase in the BP. How much BP? It is about 140 by 90. And if all these things along with that plus, if there is a convergence are present, then it is called as a eclampsia. Above this, it is preeclampsia, and this plus this, it is called as eclampsia. See the lady, it is in the convergence state or coma stage, that is eclampsia. Preeclampsia, that is gestational hypertension associated with that of proteinuria, and eclampsia, that is convergence occurring in a patient with preeclampsia. And if there is also a HELLP syndrome, HELLP, that is severe form of preeclampsia, which is characterized by the hemolysis and thrombocytopenia and elevated liver enzymes, then we can call it as a HELLP syndrome. How much that is, if there is a hemolysis, that is abnormal PBS, that is bilirubin more than 1.2 mg per dl, and in thrombocytopenia, if platelet, it is less than 1 lakhs per mm3, and if in liver enzyme, if AST is more than 70 U per L, LDH more than 600 U per L. And HELLP syndrome, that is what is the criteria for diagnosis, that is basically hemolysis, is that is microangiopathy, then cells, cystocytes on PBS bilirubin more than 1.2 mg per dl, or absent plasma hepatoglobulin, and elevated liver enzymes, that is AST and LDH, and no platelet count. If this is the present, then what is called as a HELLP syndrome, that is related with that of pregnancy-induced hypertension. And then sometimes there will be general problem like that of anemia during the pregnancy. This is the diagram what we see. This is the normal blood cells, while this is the decrease in the blood, that is anemia. So what is anemia? Anemia is defined as reduction in circulating hemoglobin mass below this critical level. And the normal hemoglobin, it is about 12 to 14 gram %. And WHO has accepted that if up to 11 gram 11 gram percentage as the normal hemoglobin level during the pregnancy. And therefore, if there is a, if the hemoglobin level less than this normal, that is below the 11 gram during the pregnancy, it is considered as a anemia. So that may be the problem. And now we are going to see about the attachment point of view, local point of view, that is the uterus problem. So as we know that uterus, the placenta, it is attached, and placenta, it is attached to the upper at the fundus side and the posterior level. But placenta, there is a abnormalities of the placenta. in whatever the normal position of the placenta, what is the normal function and morphology we have seen in the previous lecture. But what is the abnormalities of the attachment? There are abnormalities of the placenta from the position point of view, from the attachment point of view, and from the shape point of view. If the position of the placenta is in the lower uterine segment, then it is called as the placenta previa. Or if it is dislodged in before the birth of the baby, that is abruptio placenta, what we have already seen in APH. Now, from the attachment point of view, how much depth it is attachment. So this is the normal attachment of the placenta. If it is too much attachment affecting the middle layer, it is called up to the middle layer, then it is called as accreta. If it is crosses the middle layer and reach up to the peripheral, that is increta, and it crosses the peripheral layer of the uterus, then it is called as a percreta. So what is placenta accreta, increta, and percreta from the attachment point of view. Then there may be some changes in the shape of the placenta. So what are the changes in the shape of the placenta? So there may be some variation according to the shape. What we know that the placenta, it is the shape, normally shape, it is about lengthwise, it is, if you say, it is 15 to 20 centimeter, and the widthwise it is 2 to 3 centimeter, and the umbilical cord started from the in between, from the fetal surface and fetal surface. That is normal morphology of the placenta. But shape-wise, if large shape it is more, then it is called as a large placenta. That is more than 15 to 20 centimeter. And there may be some from the insertion point of view. What we see in this diagram, so there is a filamentous insertion. Okay, this is the practical example of it. So what we see that whatever the umbilical cord, which has to be started from the center, it is starting from the peripheral, and that is like a filamentous. So this is called as a filamentous insertion. Then there may be bilobate placenta. Bi means something two. So if there are also known as a bipartite placenta or placenta duplex. Duplex means two. And if placenta containing two or more lobes, which is a rare and is called as a multi-lobate placenta. And another variety that is called the succentuate placenta. Succentuate means some additional placenta is there. So that is called as the succentuate placenta is there. That may be, or accessory placenta may be there. So that is the abnormality from the shape point of view. Or there may be called as a battle door. Battle door, if you see fan, mini fan, hand fan. So what is hand fan? One stick is present on one side, and what rounded structure which is present at the other side. Or if you see the door, how we open it. So at one side, this is the structure that is umbilical cord, and from the margin it is started, and roundedly the placenta is there. So that is called as a patent door placenta and filamentous placenta. This is filamentous placenta and how it looks like on the ultrasonography. So filamentous placenta. Then other variety of it, that is the ring-shaped placenta. So what we see that in ring shape, see this is the ring which is formed over here. So it is about one incidence. It is about 1 in 6,000 deliveries, and how it is annular in shape, maybe horseshoe shape because of atrophy of the part of the placental ring, or complete ring of placental tissue may be present, and always it is associated with that of APH. APH stand for antepartum hemorrhage or postpartum hemorrhage. That is PPH, or IUGR, that is intrauterine growth retardation. That may be the reason. And the next one is, that is the circumvallate placenta. Circum, that is what we see, that circum, that is circumference, peripheral. How it is, that is the fetal surface. Fetal surface has a central depression surrounded by a thickened gray white structure ring composed of a double fold of chorion, amnion, degenerated decidua, and the fibrin deposits. So large vessels terminate at the margins of the placenta when seen from the fetal surface. So that is related with circumvallate placenta. Now, we have seen about the abnormalities of the placenta from the shape position from the position point of view, from the attachment point of view, and from the shape point of view. In the similar fashion, there is a abnormalities in the umbilical cord also. So, what are the abnormalities? First, that is from the lengthwise, or from the content wise, or from the pathology point of view, from the loop point of view, and the pathology point of view, loop and knot point of view. So what are the problems to the lengthwise? The lengthwise, the length may be long or length may be short. So if the length it is long, then it is called, it may lead to the problem like that of loops around the neck, or it may lead to the problems like there may be cord presentation or cord prolapse can be there. And if there is again, if the length is short, again it leads to the problem. So what are the problems? If the length is short, then it can lead to the problems like there is abruptio placenta, so the proper movement of the fetus does not take place. So proper development of the fetus does not take place. That may be the problem arises due to the short length. That is problems related with the length. Then cord coiling, that is umbilical cords get become coiling, and whatever the nutrition which is required to the fetus, it is not reached. And from the content point of view, what we know that initially there are two veins and two arteries, then afterwards there is a two arteries and the single vein, but there may be abnormalities, that is single umbilical artery that may be present, or sometimes there is a four vessel cord is there. Then abnormalities of cord insertion, that is what we have seen in previous one, that is the filamentous insertion. This is filamentous of insertion of the umbilical cord that may be present. And that sometimes there may be abnormality of the umbilical cord to give the proper blood flow to the fetus. And sometimes there may be torsion and stricture to the umbilical cord, and sometimes there may be hematoma, or sometimes there may be cyst also present. So if the length of the cord, again there are loops, that is the what we see in this diagram. These are the loops. This is how much loops? One, this is two, and this is the three loops which are present around the neck. So this is maybe the abnormality of the umbilical cord because of the long length of the umbilical cord. The cord is frequently coiled around the fetus, that is more likely with longer cords. Then loops around fetal neck are termed a knuckle cord. This is called as a knuckle cord. That is uncommon cause of adverse PN outcome. Then contraction may compress the knuckle cord and cause FHR, fetal heart rate decelerations, and low umbilical artery. Then incidence, how much percentage wise? If you see one loop, two loop, and three loop, the percentage decreases up by just 20 to 34%, then 2.5 to 5%, and from 0.2 to 0.5%. Then abnormalities of umbilical cord from the knot point of view, there may be, if the length it is too much long, so it can lead to the actual knot, that is called as a true knot. And if the it looks mimic like that of a knot, but it is not an actual knot, then it is called as a false knot. So false knot result from kinking of the vessels to accommodate length of the cord, and due to redundancies of umbilical vessels and vortically. While that of true knot, if you see the incidence wise, it is 1 to 2%. It is more common in monoamniotic twins. Then active fetal movements create true knots. There may be risk of stillbirth is increased by 5 to 10 folds in those with true knots, and FHR abnormalities are common during the labor, but cord blood pH values are normal. That is the drawback. See, this is the actual knot has taken place. So that is true. Then abnormalities of umbilical cord we are continuing. That is sometimes there is a torsion and stricture. So torsion incidence, if we see that it is the rare, there may be result from the fetal movements during which the cord normally becomes twisted, and fetal circulation is compromised, and the stricture that is more serious. Most infants with these findings are stillborn. That is stillborn. That is if the birth of the fetus has taken place with birth, but that fetus has not taken any, neonate has not taken any breath outside of it, and it is already dead inside of the uterus, then it is called as a stillbirth. And so it is just very strictly more serious, and as because it affects the fetal movement, during which the cord normally becomes twisted and the fetal circulation is compromised. So it is a serious situation, and in that infants with these findings are stillborn associated with an extreme focal deficiency in potentially. So it is monoamniotic twins. In case of monoamniotic twins, a significant fraction of the high perinatal mortality rate is attributed to enthrening of the umbilical cords before labor. So if you see in this diagram, this is twisted, torsion has taken place, and whatever it is affecting both, that is fetus as well as placenta, that is cord torsion. And now, last, what we are going to see, what are the abnormalities of the umbilical fluid. So abnormalities of the amniotic fluid. So amniotic, it may be the fluid may be increased or fluid may be decreased. If the fluid it is increased, it is called as a poly. Something more fluid increase in the fluid, that is called as a poly, and something decrease, it is called as oligohydramnios. So how much? What is the quantity? Is so say in this diagram. What is if the amniotic fluid is more than 2000 ml or 2 liter? That is AFI more than 25 centimeter, or the deepest vertical pool of more than 8 centimeter, or 9 fifth or 97.5 percentile of GM. And if you see the look wise, see this is the, how much increase in the abdominal girth. If you see that, so larger abdomen with excessive stretch marks, that is a symptom of polyhydramnios, where amniotic fluid is of more than 2000 ml. That is polyhydramnios. And exactly opposite to that, if the fluid it is increased, so opposite situation, that fluid it is decreased, that is called as a oligohydramnios. So how much fluid? If volume it is less than 200 ml, where there is AFI less than 5 centimeter at 28 to 40 weeks. So it is too much of little amniotic fluid. So whatever the movement is does not take place properly. So development of the fetus does not take place properly. So what it leads to? It leads to the Potter syndrome. What is meaning of Potter syndrome? See in this diagram. What you see that hands are not properly developed or legs are not properly developed. So there is a P for pulmonary hypoplasia, O for oligohydramnios, T for twisted skin or wrinkly skin, or twisted face, that is Potter faces, or extreme E for extremities defects can be there, and sometimes it may be renal agenesis bilateral, that is related with that of Potter syndrome. So this is in short the concept that is related with that of whatever the problems which are present to the mother during the pregnancy. So thank you very much.